What if the one person who helped you when you had nothing turned out to be someone you'd never expect? Ethan Cole had everything: money, power, and success. As the CEO of a massive company, he was used to being in control. But one terrible night changed his life forever. After stepping off his private jet in an unfamiliar city, Ethan was robbed in a dark alley. In an instant, his wallet, phone, and everything that proved his success were gone. Now, he was just another man on the streets alone, lost and invisible. People ignored him, assuming he was just another scammer. Hunger gnawed at him, and exhaustion made every step harder. But just when he thought no one cared, he stumbled upon a small, warm diner. And inside, one waitress's simple act of kindness would set off a chain of events that neither of them could have ever imagined. Ethan wrapped his coat tighter as he walked through the unfamiliar city. The cold wind cut through his expensive suit, making him shiver. He had built his company from the ground up, creating an empire of wealth and power. But lately, something felt off, like the weight of success was suffocating him. Maybe this trip was exactly what he needed. As he turned a corner, a dark figure suddenly appeared behind him. Before he could react, a strong hand shoved him into an alley. A sharp blade pressed against his side. "Give us everything, and no one gets hurt," a rough voice growled. Ethan's heart pounded. His mind raced. He had never been this helpless before. Slowly, he handed over his wallet, phone, and watch, everything that defined his success. And just like that, they were gone. Ethan stood there, stunned. The streets, once full of life, now felt cold and empty. He reached for his pockets instinctively. Nothing. No phone. No money. No way to get back to his hotel. Panic set in as he tried asking for help. People walked past him without a second glance. He was no longer a CEO. He was just another man, lost and ignored. Hunger gnawed at his stomach, and exhaustion weighed on his shoulders. He had never felt so alone. But then, just when he was about to give up, he saw a small diner up ahead, its neon sign flickering in the dark. He had no idea that stepping inside would change his life forever. Jake stumbled through the dark streets, his body aching from exhaustion. He had been walking for hours, hoping someone would help him, but no one even looked his way. His expensive suit was now wrinkled and dirty, a sharp contrast to the powerful man he had been just hours ago. Then, he saw a small diner tucked between two buildings. The neon sign flickered weakly, Rosie's Diner. Warm lights spilled from the windows, and the smell of coffee and grilled food filled the air. His stomach growled. With nothing to lose, he pushed open the door. A bell jingled above him. The diner was cozy, with a few customers scattered at the tables. Behind the counter, a young waitress wiped a glass clean. "Welcome to Rosie's Diner," she said with a kind smile. "What can I get you?" Jake hesitated. I don't have any money. I was robbed." The waitress, Emma, studied him for a moment. Most people would have kicked him out, but instead, her face softened. "That's awful. Are you okay?" Jake let out a shaky breath. "No one will help me. No one cares." Emma was quiet for a second, then disappeared into the kitchen. Moments later, she returned with a hot plate of food and a fresh cup of coffee. "Eat," she said, placing it in front of him. "It's on me." Jake stared at the meal, overwhelmed. He had no idea this small act of kindness would change everything. Liam had always known his grandfather's old study was off limits. The dusty wooden door remained locked, its secrets hidden for decades. But after his grandfather's passing, Liam and his family had to clear out the house. That's when he found a small, yellowed envelope wedged behind an old bookshelf. Curious, he pulled it out and saw his name written in shaky handwriting. Why would Grandpa leave something for him? With a deep breath, Liam carefully opened the envelope. Inside, he found a letter, and as he read the words, his heart pounded. "Liam, if you're reading this, then I'm no longer here. There's something I never told anyone, but it's time for the truth to come out. Look under the floorboard beneath my desk." Liam's hands trembled. What secret had his grandfather been hiding? He rushed to the study, pried up the old wooden floorboard, and gasped. Beneath it lay a small metal box, its lid rusted with age. His fingers fumbled as he lifted it, heart racing. Inside the box were old photographs, faded letters, and most shocking of all, a stack of documents with a different last name. His grandfather had been living under a false identity. But why? Liam's mind swirled with questions. Who had his grandfather really been? What had he been running from? The more he read, the more he realized this wasn't just a family secret. It was something much, much bigger. And Liam was about to uncover a truth that could change everything. Months had passed since that cold night, but Jason couldn't forget it. Life had returned to normal, endless meetings, business deals, and luxury. He had moved on from the robbery, yet one thing remained in the back of his mind: the kindness of a stranger. When he had nothing, no money, no phone, no way home, one person had helped him. A waitress who didn't know him, who had no reason to care, yet still gave him a meal when the rest of the world ignored him. Jason had spent years surrounded by people who only wanted something from him. But Emma? She asked for nothing. Now that kindness gnawed at him. He needed to find her. Not just to thank her, but to repay her. Because deep down, he knew one small act of kindness had changed his life. And now, it was his turn. Samantha had spent years struggling, barely making enough to survive. Every shift at the diner felt the same: serving customers, forcing a smile, and hoping for a decent tip. But then, he walked in at tea first. He seemed like just another customer. But there was something different about him. He didn't just order his meal, he noticed things. The exhaustion in her eyes, the way she held her stomach, trying to ignore the pain. And then, he did something unbelievable. Instead of just leaving a tip, he left an offer, one that could change everything. Samantha stared at the paper he had slipped her, her hands shaking. Could this be real? Could one moment, one act of kindness, turn her life around? She had no idea that serving one customer would lead to the opportunity of a lifetime, one she never saw coming. Mia never thought she'd run into someone from her past, especially not like this. She was just another waitress at a fancy restaurant. But one night, as she placed a plate down, she heard a familiar voice. It was him. The man sitting at the table was someone she hadn't seen in years. Back in high school, he was the popular one, the kid who had everything. And now, he was a wealthy businessman, dressed in a sharp suit, barely recognizing her. But when he finally looked up and met her eyes, everything changed. His expression shifted from surprise to something deeper. Was it regret? Was it shock? She couldn't tell. What he did next left everyone speechless. Mia had no idea that this one night, this one meeting, would completely change her life in a way she never expected. When Jake bought an old used car, he never expected to find a hidden secret inside. A tea first. It seemed like just another beat-up sedan. The seats were worn, the radio barely worked, and the paint was chipped. But when he reached under the back seat, his fingers brushed against something strange. Curious, he pulled it out. His heart raced as he realized what he was holding. It was a small, rusted box locked shut. Who left it there? And why? Jake's hands shook as he forced it open. What he found inside stunned him. This wasn't just some forgotten junk. This was something that could change lives. Something that had been hidden for decades. And now, Jake had a choice to make, one that would lead to a shocking truth no one saw coming.